everyone, my name is Leah Lore and I arrived in the Philippines just as the International Solidarity Mission was coming to a close, so my experience was a little bit different from the rest of the missionaries. I am here to tell you about the schools that I visited in Laboron and Agusan del Sur. 5 of us from Mindanao Interfaith Services Foundation Incorporated, or MISFI, traveled across the island to Laboron. There's an indigenous community that requested a school a couple years ago that we planned on visiting. The teachers needed their lesson plans to be evaluated, and the whole school was celebrating Nutrition Month. MISFI is a unique organization that seeks peace for all people of Mindanao, no matter who you are, what your religious affiliation is, or where you come from. They proclaim that peace is not just the absence of war, but the presence of justice. Up in the community, we prepped for Nutrition Month presentations and the activities that followed. Teachers, community leaders, and Ate Lagring, the director of the school, emphasized the importance of eating fruits and vegetables. They encouraged families to plant gardens in their yard and to continue to eat healthily even after this month ends. Now my turn was up. I was invited on stage to introduce the idea of tarp surfing. I had with me a very large blue plastic tarp, a skateboard, and lots of energy to bring the idea of surfing to this landlocked Lumad community in the mountains. Even though the children live on an island surrounded by water, none of them had seen the ocean because they don't have the money or resources to make a trip out to the beach. Many of the children live a hard life, some of them working in the fields with their parents so they have enough to eat each day, others looking after their brothers and sisters at an age that we'd assume that they would need a babysitter if they were in the United States. This activity provided an outlet for them and a way to grow closer into community with one another. So here we go. We have 2 people pulling on the corners of the tarp, catching wind and creating a wave with the blue plastic, and one person skates across the tarp as if he or she were on a surfboard riding the wave. They loved it. Students from preschool to 4th grade, the highest grade, tried it out. The teachers noted that they were grateful for this because it served as both a recreational activity and an educational tool for teaching about water and the ocean. Let me tell you a little bit about the teachers. There are 3 of them, 2 of them in their younger 20s and 1 in her older 20s. They live in the community, learn the indigenous culture and language, and become like second parents to the children. They live off a stipend that MISFI provides, but this is only enough to go down the mountain and visit their families about twice a year. After the teachers are done with school, not only do they have to prepare for the next day's classes, but they go out to tend their fields so that they may continue to eat. They embody servant leadership. They know that they are making a sacrifice to teach the impoverished Lumad community, but they love what they do and keep pushing forward. There is 1 teacher for kindergarten, another teacher for 1st and 2nd grade, and the 3rd teacher who teaches 3rd and 4th grade in the same room. They are building another classroom so that the graduating 4th graders will have a classroom for 5th grade. The school is growing. The teachers went to a meeting with Ate Lagrin to review their lesson plans. I took out my ukulele and started playing some songs that I learned back at home for a small group of kids. Quickly enough, 23 children surrounded me, all interested in the music and song. I taught some of the older ones how to play the ukulele, and I taught everyone English words through the songs. We sang heads, shoulders, knees and toes, and the itsy bitsy spider, and other simple tunes. We played counting games in English, counting their brothers and sisters, how many children were sitting together at that time, and then all the way up to 100. I was so impressed. They understood my instructions and spoke back to me without a translator. To the teachers of the MISFI School, I applaud you. They could do all of this because of your hard work. Well done. Over summer, I taught a class called Icky Sticky Science at an elementary summer school. I'll give you a taste of what our singing was like in Laboron with the song that I taught my own kindergarten through 2nd graders. Science, science, icky sticky. Not only did they sing the song, but in turn they sang their traditional songs at full volume to me. This moment of sharing cultural traditions so comfortably, yet with such passion, brought tears to my eyes. So this was the MISFI School in Laboron. Let's go now to another MISFI School in Agusan del Sur. Many communities in this region have evacuated because of the increased military presence on their lands. The military claims that they are seeking the New People's Army because their members typically hide out in remote locations. Unfortunately, the innocent Lumads were displaced and waiting to return home in a school building devastated by Typhoon Pablo. The roof doesn't even cover everyone's head. Teachers are outraged because the children are hungry, asking them for some form of sustenance, when the only relief goods that are given are a cup of rice per person each day and perhaps a small dried fish.
There is no plausible way to continue classes in the evacuation site, so 4 of us from MISFI and the teachers traveled down to the municipal office to talk with the mayor. The meeting veered sharply from its original intent. Instead of the Department of Education working with us to make our case to demilitarize their community, they turned to the mayor and told him that it was not in MISFI's place to establish a school in the Lumad community and that it needs to be shut down. They arrogantly questioned the credentials of the 3 young teachers in front of them and quickly associated MISFI with supporting the NPA through the school. This was absolutely ridiculous. I felt like crying with the teachers next to me. Of anyone, they're the most dedicated and invested teachers for the job. They are not Lumads themselves, but they have sacrificed almost all of what they have by living in the community, learning their language and culture, not being able to visit their own family because they live off a meager stipend every month, and they have to deal with the unnecessary burden of militarization. There was a public school teacher that was assigned to the Lumad community who only went 2 days a week, unlike the MISFI teachers who are there 24/7. Yes, grades 1 through 3 are in one room, but they are learning an incredible amount more than what they would be learning at a public school. Their classes are geared towards teaching them about subjects that are relevant to their lives, like agriculture, their language, their culture and traditions, in addition to reading, writing, and arithmetic. If the public school officials think that MISFI is overstepping their bounds by establishing a school there, why haven't they taken action to create a school themselves? We asked again about what to do about the militarization, and the mayor asked us if there are any bombs or helicopters flying around. We said no. Then he told us that there really should be nothing to worry about. The people should just move back to their communities. We talked with another government official after the meeting about the situation. We brought up the issue about militarization, and he said that the fact that all of the Lumads were organized to move to the evacuation area indicates that leaders from groups like Anak Bayan and Gabriela are mobilizing people and supporting the NPA. He also encouraged us to tell the communities that they should move back to their land.
It is beyond me that the government thinks that MISFI, an interfaith organization supporting charity schools for the poorest of the poor, is accused to be associated with the NPA. If only they could see the reality that the Lumads live in as clearly as we do. They need to step out of their air-conditioned offices and into the burned huts of the families to see that perhaps MISFI is one of the few groups that tangibly supports and brings hope to the Lumads. My host, Dada Sanchez, said that she got a report later that day about how there's a big corporation that is planning on starting a plantation in the Lumads' land. Thus, the military isn't there to clear out the NPA. The military is there to clear out the Lumads. Once again, the indigenous people are being pushed out of their ancestral lands so that large-scale corporations can settle in, this time for palm oil. The Lumads are still suffering the injustices of displacement, prevention from education, and the lack of nutritious food as they survive on the support of local charity and activist groups. They have been stripped of their dignity as palm oil and other natural resources have taken precedence over their heritage and homeland. Tonight, I invite you to join the fight in solidarity with them with your prayers, your presence, your gifts, and your service. Lift your voice for peace and justice. Serve the people. Join the unending song for justice in Mindanao. Thank you. To become part of the movement, join Panagiusa in its efforts to support the Filipino people today.